we have officially entered into the season of distractions. The masses are excited to have something to draw their attention to so they can be distracted from what is occurring all around them. And there is a lot going on that we all need to be mindful of. It seems that the overall theme of today is division. The different sides do not agree, and because of that, there will be certain consequences. For instance, we still have a strike going on in Hollywood that really hasn't been felt yet, but surely will be soon when there's a lack of new content to keep the masses distracted and entertained. We have the strike coming with the United Auto Workers Union that will affect the auto industry. And the crazy thing is that that industry is already in some heat because of the decline in auto purchases. I mean, rates are really high right now. There is division between groups and the different sides cannot agree. This is why it looks like we're going to have another government shutdown set to occur at the beginning of October. And right now, it does not look likely that the different sides want to concede to each other.
We've seen it all before. Popular tourist sites forced to close.
Open up the government!
And furloughed workers protesting lost wages.
No paycheck, no peace!
It could all happen again on October 1st if Congress fails to approve spending bills amid a dispute between lawmakers, which could result in a government shutdown. Congress must allocate funding to more than 400 government agencies each fiscal year, which ends on September 30th. If lawmakers don't pass those bills before the new fiscal year starts, those agencies will be unable to continue operating as normal. There have been 20 shutdowns since the 1970s, according to the Congressional Research Service. Among those, the shutdown between December 2018 and January 2019, when Republican President Donald Trump battled Democratic lawmakers over funding for a border wall. And data shows that shutdown cost the economy about $3 billion.
Hey, ho, ho, the shutdown has got to go.
Some 800,000 federal employees were furloughed without pay for 35 days during the 2018-2019 shutdown, hitting many workers right in the wallet.
We're all hurting here. We want to work. I want to work. I want to serve my country.
Our budget is blown out of the water. I have no idea how to plan for what's next.
Another government shutdown, while the deficit is said to balloon to $2 trillion soon. Now be clear, that's not the debt. The deficit is the difference between how much money the U.S. makes versus how much it is spending. The deficit is what adds to our debt. I mean, the deficit was always a problem at $1.5 trillion. But due to interest rates and other factors, it's projected to balloon to $2 trillion by the end of the fiscal year. And that's a problem. The United States debt is almost at $33 trillion, which to many of us seems like the signal they are waiting for, but we'll see. Being that they just announced this impeachment inquiry at the same time that they need to negotiate a government shutdown, it seems that we are well on the way to some drama. The timing of this impeachment inquiry is not a coincidence either. Anyone paying attention should know that. But the masses, they're just too asleep to connect all the dots. And wherever these people are taking us, we already know that the majority will not be ready for it. They're also talking about a new COVID wave, which for anyone with discerning eyes, it should be quite frustrating. For me personally, anyone I find that is under that spell and is falling into that agenda, they're just marking their state of mind for me so I know where they stand. What it seems like is that they're getting the folks ready for another dose. That's what it seems like. And in the midst of all of this, with all this going on, our world leaders are all on their way to this country for their summit about the Sustainable Development Goals, which is the agenda for the new control of the world that they desire to bring about. All the world leaders are coming together to recommit themselves to their goals. And there is a plethora of people online predicting the pre-tribulation rapture of September 23rd, and something to occur at that time. There's a lot of room for deceptive agendas to come about. But listen, regardless of what the people are predicting, the leaders of the world are coming together in New York City at the United Nations to recommit themselves to their agenda, and the masses are gathering to celebrate this agenda as they celebrate their coming one world government at the Global Citizens Festival, which is a very interesting one to me, being that Lauryn Hill is performing. This woman, who was once very brave in speaking against these puppet masters, is now on stage performing for them. It's odd to me. But either way, there are a lot of things that should be making us very cautious about these next few weeks and months ahead. watching it all with caution. I mean, we just had the BRICS summit last month, with the sides being drawn even more clearly with the old and the new that's emerging. And just last week at the G20 summit in India, this country who recently decided that they're changing their name to Bharat, as I understand that this was the original name for the country that has been in many different languages, they now want to be known as Bharat, which is said to mean fire. I mean, that seems very telling to me. But at this G20 summit, it should be noticed that China's president did not attend, and the media has framed the narrative that he snubbed the G20 summit because he is done with the established world order and wants to change it. And so when we analyze the BRICS meeting that happened prior, adding major new countries into their group, while we see that the narrative is set that they want to change the established world order, while they're also making threats to the United States, we should not be surprised by an unexpected escalation in events. Tensions are high and they're drawing attention to Taiwan. And with all of that geopolitical news, the economy is still treading water, barely holding on. It's still maintaining, but heading into a hard patch of time. At that time last week, at the G20 summit, the leaders of the major countries of the world warned that the balance of risk to the global outlook is tilted to the downside, thanks in part to cascading crises that have presented obstacles to long-term growth. We have student loan payments about to resume that looks like a good scapegoat for a recession because the United States economy, which is dependent upon spending, will have another reason why people are not doing so, spending. We still have an aggressive Fed promising to raise interest rates, though it looks unlikely that they will do so at the next meeting. But we'll see. And on top of this, we have this debt crisis that is not going anywhere and growing day by day. We also have the United States downgrade that happened because of the debt ceiling issue, while the other United States banks were silently downgraded as well, which says there's a lot of risk on the table. There is a lot going on, as you can see, and I barely scratched the surface on all of this. That was just a highlight. And with all that going on, it seems like there's a lot that we need to be paying attention to, and a lot that needs our focus at this time. But with all these warning signs, these narratives building, and events happening, there is one thing that the Ruach has led me to feel, and that is to draw my eyes and attention to what truly matters. As I gathered all this news that was happening, I normally like to bring people up to date with the state of the world narratives. But as I was gathering the information, my spirit led me in a different direction. All of this news and all these narratives is what I wanted to talk about, but I was led to tell you something different. And so I want to bring attention to the most important topic that everyone should be focusing on and provide guidance that can actually help you. In regards to what is going on in the world, that was a big chunk of the narratives and highlights of the events. But in the grand scheme, none of all that really matters if you don't really know this. We are called to endure to the end. So if this is what we're going to do, we need to discuss how. I want to help you with this. Let's begin. Okay, so for me personally, as one that speaks on a lot of subjects, I actually try not to look at YouTube to see what other people are speaking about or what is actually trending, because I don't want to be influenced by what is trending in the world more than what the Spirit is moving me to communicate. But last week, as I finished my topic about the last days, I received a few comments about the Christian church being ready for the rapture on September 23rd because of what is going on at the United Nations. And so I looked to see what was being said, because I find it very hypocritical that people keep talking about the pre-tribulation rapture and all of that, but then they hypocritically say that they know the day and hour as well. It makes no sense to me, but whatever. While I was looking at all that information, I quickly began to become overwhelmed. My spirit became disturbed. My wife also mentioned that the same thing happened to her. Let me explain. Being a believer today is not an easy role, because one thing that goes along with our faith is knowing how bad the state of the world is and knowing how much we are being lied to. We are in general labeled conspiracy theorists. And because we know there are problems in this world, this is generally what we're looking to find out. And if you're on social media, your algorithm is going to send you a ton of this content that is going to get you bogged down with all of it. And you get an overload of it because they do it in shorts. 1 minute of lies here, somebody speaking of lies there, somebody telling you this is a lie, that is a lie, much of it being true, by the way. It can be quite alarming and bring about feelings of anxiousness and uneasiness. It can bring away your peace and provoke your flesh to feelings of fear, sadness, or just push you to move according to your own will and not by the leading of the Holy Spirit. And as I looked at it all, I recognized that over the time I have given enough warnings. And the truth is that you all have enough content out there telling you how bad it is in the world. And then to add to all that, with these teachings, I have exposed the falsehoods of the pre-tribulation rapture. And now many of you that might have been banking on this event to happen, you're now realizing that we will be here during the tribulation period. And you now have to deal with new feelings that the enemy wants to fill you up with, feelings of fear and anxiety. And so I believe that the body is being pushed to feelings of anxiety and being overwhelmed and overtaken by the agendas of this world. And it's purposeful. It's done by the enemy. You see, for those that Satan cannot control with his doctrines, he does not just leave us alone. He still attacks us. He desires to attack us through our flesh and push us away from being led by the Spirit of Yah. And so I understand that many of you already understand what is happening in this world and what time it is. What I want to be is a voice in the wilderness that continues to stress the importance of our faith, because though we know we are wicked times surrounded by a lot of agendas, it will not be our knowledge and awareness of these schemes of the wicked that will get us through. It will be our focus on Yah that gets us through. The devil wants us distracted from this. And I want to make sure that before we move into more distractions, how we endure till the end has been communicated to you. Because in my search of what everyone was talking about, I don't see enough messages about encouraging us to endure to the end. The body is not being encouraged. The body is being pushed and provoked to feelings of fear, anxiety, and focused on what the devil is doing rather than what Yah is doing. And that's just the state of the world that we're in. And there's nothing I can do about that. But I do want to make sure that for those who are actually trying to be ready and make sure that you are prepared for Yah, you are encouraged. So at this point in time that we're in, I have some action items that I want everyone to hear and apply that will help you endure to the end. Yes, we know we are approaching the times of change, and things are going to get bad for the rest of the world. But the thing is that if you're a believer, then you should have made this decision understanding that the God that you serve is greater than the one who is leading the world into fear. It is time that you live a life truly of faith, not just by word, but by action. If you're a believer and you're claiming the promises that Yahuwah has made for us, at this pivotal point in time, I want you to first be comforted because you have the victory. He who is in you is greater than he who is in the world. Second, I want you to be ready. Keep your lamps full of oil. This is a time of fulfillment of promises, not a time of heartache and disaster. The heartache and disaster may be the case for everyone else, but it's not for you. Next, I want you to have trust. Know the plans he has for us. He has plans to give us a future and a hope. Fourth, do not fear. Yah did not give us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Live through it. And lastly, 5, stay faithful and endure to the end. The one who endures to the end will be saved. This is what I'm calling on everyone to do and focus on. And so I'm going to elaborate on this. Let's go. Number 1, be comforted because you have the victory. And remember, he who is in you is greater than he who is in the world. This is the first thing, because in order to let all the other action items take heed in your life, you need to rest and be assured of the victory. In all of these actions that you need to do, there is a recurring theme of faith that is involved in all of this. And that is because this is what we live through. We live through faith. Here's the thing. You are a believer, so make sure you live like one. There are so many people that claim to be saved through the redemptive blood of Yahusha, but they are so scared of the devil and what he's going to do to them. So many people who claim to be believers, but they ignore Yahusha's complete words when he says, "Do not fear those who kill the body but cannot kill the soul, but rather fear him who is able to destroy both soul and body in hell." That's Matthew chapter 10, verse 28. But more people fear the devil and what he's going to do to everybody during the tribulation more than they fear Yah and what he plans to do and how he's going to redeem us and what he plans to do for us. So for you to endure to the end, you need a mindset change. You need to be comforted and you need to rest and be assured of the victory. You need to put away all the negative thoughts that were provoked by the enemy and let Yah comfort you. It has been the enemy scaring you about the tribulation. But if you understand Yah's promises, then no matter what, you should know that because you are a believer, you are to be blessed. And you need to rest in those promises. Let me tell you something. The wicked that's out here doing all this garbage, do you know what they believe? They are told that they're going to win. They believe that Satan is going to win and take over this world, that he's going to win the battle against Yah. This is what their lives are devoted to. And so because they believe this, they walk out here in conviction, spreading their wickedness with no second thought, because they don't believe that they'll ever be judged for their actions. But to a believer, we know that they're 1,000% wrong, and judgment is coming to them. But let me tell you the sad part about all of that. The losers, those that are going to lose in this world, they have more confidence than the victors. These people are going to lose, but they walk stronger in their wicked faith than those who claim a faith that lives in victory. That's hypocrisy for us. So the question is, do you actually believe in the faith you claim? Or are you just saying that you believe with your mouth, but not really sure and convicted with your heart? That is a personal question you're going to want to review personally. Because I know many of you just know Christ and you believe in Messiah because of you learned it from your parents, you've been to church all your life, and it's just one of the things you know, and so you just accepted it. And nobody's going to tell you that you're not a believer, but you're just a Christian who went to church all your life. That doesn't really mean that you're actually a believer. And you really need to deal with those thoughts and personally understand where you stand with all this. But if you really are a believer, you need to act like one. You need to know and believe that you have the victory. And then you need to be comforted and rest assured of the power of Yahuwah. You are of Elohim, little children, and have overcome them, because he who is in you is greater than he who is in the world. They are of the world, therefore they speak as of the world, and the world hears them. We are of Elohim. He who knows Elohim hears us. He who is not of Elohim does not hear us. By this we know the spirit of truth and the spirit of error. That's 1 John chapter 4, verses 4 through 6. Also, but thanks be to Elohim, who gives us the victory through our Adon, Yahusha the Messiah. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Adon, knowing that your labor is not in vain in the Adon. That's 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verses 57 and 58. You see, if you truly believe in your faith, and you know you're on the right side of things, then you need to right now live like you do. You must rest assured of the victory that we have and live in confidence of this. Over the past few weeks, I've made a few videos about remembering our promises because it is really important that we have the right perspective of our faith. I made those videos to help bring you peace. Let the world worry about the end times and what's going to come to them. Just understand that the tribulation is not about us, but about the wicked. And the more you live in that understanding, the easier it will be to deal with the times that are coming. But if you're so focused on what is going on around you, you want to see every little thing that the wicked is doing, you are assisting the devil with his agenda to steal your peace and your joy. Yes, it's good to know what's going on around you. I believe that. But do not dwell on it. Those of us who will receive these promises are those who truly trust him in our hearts. So it is important to live in your faith. So right now, you must make the choice to live in assurance of the victory our Messiah has won us. If you do not, the devil will steer you through provocations of your flesh that will lead you away from Yah. So it is important to live as one who truly believes. Rest in Yahuwah and wait patiently for him. Do not fret because of him who prospers in his way, because of the man who brings wicked schemes to pass. Do not fret because of them. You must live like you believe this. Be comforted because you have the victory. And remember, he who is in you is greater than he who is in the world. Okay. Step number 2. Be ready. Keep your lamps full of oil. This is a time of fulfillment of promises, not a time of heartache and disaster. The heartache and disaster may be the case for everyone else, but not for you. Do you recognize that? Let me ask you, do you know what the devil wants to do? He wants to wear you out. This is why Yahusha said, and unless those days were shortened, no flesh will be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days will be shortened. Matthew chapter 24, verse 22. The devil wants to wear us out. And guess what? He will succeed with many. But you, just make sure it will not be you. You are the elect and you must endure to the end. In last week's video, many people asked me, how did the parable of the 10 virgins fit into the end times? I think right now is a great time to review it. Let's read it. Then the kingdom of heaven shall be likened to 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. Now 5 of them were wise and 5 were foolish. Those who were foolish took their lamps and took no oil with them. But the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. But while the bridegroom was delayed, they all slumbered and slept. And at midnight a cry was heard, Behold, the bridegroom is coming. Go out to meet him. Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps. And the foolish said to the wise, Give us some of your oil, for our lamps are going out. But the wise answered, saying, No, lest there should not be enough for us and you. But go rather to those who sell and buy for yourselves. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and those who were ready went in with them to the wedding, and the door was shut. Afterward, the other virgins came also, saying, Adonai, Adonai, open to us. But he answered and said, Surely I say to you, I do not know you. Watch therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour in which the Son of Man is coming. That's Matthew chapter 25, verses 1 through 13. This is a simple but important parable. It is for all of us to remember, especially being that we are here patiently waiting for our bridegroom. This parable of the 10 virgins shows the need for wisdom and preparation. The 10 virgins were waiting for the wedding procession that went from the bride's home to the home of the husband. This nighttime procession will use lamps to light the way, because the ancient cities, of course, did not have street lights. Possessing the oil is an illustration of being prepared, and the lack of oil represents those not prepared for the return of Messiah. The foolish virgins were not prepared, and they tried to fix it, but they were too late. When they finally tried to get right, the door was shut. They even called out to the bridegroom in the same way we see in Matthew chapter 7, verses 21 through 23. The bridegroom said, I do not know you. This parable illustrates that the foolish ones will not be prepared for his kingdom, and the doors will be shut on them. Do not be foolish and not prepared for him. Like the 5 virgins, if you try to prepare for him too late, you could miss him. So don't be foolish. Be wise. You see, the devil wants you to run out of oil. He wants to burden you with all the cares of this world so that you lose your faith and take your eye off Yahusha. You do not want this to happen to you, because as he showed, he does not know those who allow this to happen. If you really love him, then you must stay ready and keep your lamps full of oil. Consider the lamp with oil your faith, your trust, your conviction to endure, the peace that he provides, the love that he gives. This is your lamp, and you need to keep it full with all of that. Unless these days were shortened, none of us would be saved, because the devil wants to blot out our faith and he wants to overwhelm us. If you are one who is living for Yah's promises, please continue to stay ready for him. Always be ready to be led by him and not by this world. Always be one who is a true example of our faith for others. One major thing that helps with this is your perspective, which is why the first piece of advice is to be comforted in the victory that we have. If you hold the right perspective on the end times, which is all about getting through some rough times on this earth so that we can obtain our promises, it helps build strength and conviction. And listen, just because the times will be rough for everyone else, that does not necessarily mean that they need to be rough for us. Be ready. Keep your lamps full of oil. This is a time of fulfillment of promises, not a time of heartache and disaster. The heartache and disaster may be the case for everyone else, but not for you. Okay, let's continue. Number 3, you need to have trust. Know the plans he has for us, plans to give us a future and a hope. Last week, there was a comment that said, so we all go through the tribulation, then Yahusha comes and takes the wicked to the lake of fire? How do you plan on surviving for 7 years? You have 7 years of food and drink saved up? Do you plan on being beheaded and be a truncation saint? Now, my brother who made this comment did not recognize at the time he was writing this just how little faith and trust he was displaying in Yah. But after my response to him, he did recognize it, and I highlight this not to bring him in the spotlight at all, which is why I blotted out his name. But I want to highlight the mindset and attitude, because he was bold enough to say what many of you think, but don't truly want to expose yourself because you know how it sounds. When he asked me how do I plan on surviving, the simple answer is by faith. It is the same way I've lived since I became a believer. Life for me was never easy, particularly when I became a believer. But I was fortunate enough to go through enough tribulation in my life to know with conviction that Yah has got my back, and I trust him fully. I trusted him before he showed himself to me, but now more than ever, after the multitude of ways he has shown how much he loves me and he is there for me, I think it is a complete show of disrespect for me not to trust him. Early on in my marriage, I used to have a lot of disagreements with my wife because when I used to say things, she always used to second guess me. She never actually said it out of her mouth that she didn't trust me, but her actions always showed that she lacked full trust in me. My oldest son, the same way. My mother-in-law, same way. It used to really bother me. Like I wanted the best for all these people. And because they lacked trust in me and what I was trying to do, they made my job more difficult. I used to tell my wife all the time, don't tell me you trust me, show me you do. But everything I did, she second guessed. I bring that up because this is what many of us do to our Creator. And if us as men don't like it with our wives and our family, imagine how our Creator sees it when we say we love him and worship him. Saying we love him and we worship him is hypocrisy if we still do not fully trust him. He does not like the attitude of lack of trust in him. Go back to Exodus and Deuteronomy and review how Yah dealt with Yasharel as he removed them out of bondage from Egypt. Every step of the way, the people complained and walked in lack of trust of him until one generation was rejected completely. You need to walk in trust of Yah. Remember all these countless scriptures. Trust in Yahuwah with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Proverbs chapter 3 verses 5 and 6. Delight yourself also in Yahuwah, and he shall give you the desires of your heart. Commit your way to Yahuwah. Trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. Psalms chapter 37 verses 4 and 5. Tell Yah the same as David did. Whenever I'm afraid, I will trust in you. In Elohim, I will praise his word. In Elohim, I have put my trust. I will not fear. What can flesh do to me? Psalms chapter 56 verses 3 and 4. It is important that you actually live through this and make it a mainstay of your life. You need to have trust. Know the plans he has for us. Plans to give us a future and a hope. Next. Number 4. Do not fear. Remember, Yah did not give us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. This actually goes right along with the trust issue, but because fear is such a prevalent issue and it is exactly how the enemy seeks to come against us, this needs to be emphasized and highlighted on its own. The scriptures say, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your Elohim. I will strengthen you. Yes, I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." Isaiah chapter 41 verse 10. Be strong and of good courage. Do not fear, nor be afraid of them. For Yahuwah your Elohim, he is the one who goes with you. He will not leave you nor forsake you. Deuteronomy chapter 31 verse 6. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and of good courage. Do not be afraid, nor be dismayed. For Yahuwah your Elohim is with you wherever you go. Joshua chapter 1 verse 9. The fear of man brings a snare, but whoever trusts in Yahuwah shall be safe. Proverbs chapter 29 verse 25. Yahuwah is on my side. I will not fear. What can man do to me? Psalm chapter 118 verse 6. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give to you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. John chapter 14 verse 27. As soon as Yahusha heard the word that was spoken, he said to the ruler of the synagogue, "Do not be afraid, only believe." Mark chapter 5 verse 36. These things I have spoken to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. John chapter 16, verse 33. For Elohim has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. But even if you should suffer for righteousness' sake, you are blessed, and do not be afraid of their threats, nor be troubled. 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 14. All these scriptures and many more tell us that we should not fear. It says over and over, do not fear. And I could keep going on and on with them. In the world that we live in today, where it feels that the walls are closing in on us, and the wicked seem to be in more of a dominant position than us believers, sometimes we can lack having the faith and trust that we should have, and we possess the actual opposite, which is fear. Having fear is the opposite of having faith, and you need to make sure that you understand that. Drill it into your brain. Fear is the opposite of faith. The more fear you have, the less faith you have, and vice versa. Please know and remember, we are the righteousness of Elohim, and we must continue to walk as we know so. Until our bodies no longer possess life in them, we must share the good news and proclaim his kingdom. We must not fear the enemy, because we already know we are victorious. If you're feeling fear and doubt, let that be a wake-up call to you that you need to strengthen your relationship with him. You need to develop more trust in him. Ask him to give you more strength and ask him to guide you more so you can build more faith. Tell him you believe to help your unbelief. That's Mark chapter 9, verse 24. Do not be afraid, only believe. You are a believer. You have the power of Yah living inside of you. You are victorious. As we all walk through these last days, walk in confidence and continue to proclaim the good news. Continue to trust in our Savior. Continue to have trust and faith in the Most High. Do not fear. Do not give in to the enemy. Be courageous. Be fearless. Do not fear. Remember, Yah did not give us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and of a sound mind. Let's go to the last one. Number 5. Stay faithful and endure to the end. The one who endures to the end will be saved. The irony is that this is a common saying in the scriptures that most Christians often just ignore. Let's read some. And you will be hated by all for my name's sake, but he who endures to the end will be saved. Matthew chapter 10, verse 22. And because lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold, but he who endures to the end shall be saved. Matthew chapter 24, verses 12 and 13. For we have become partakers of Christ if we hold the beginning of our confidence steadfast to the end. Hebrews chapter 3, verse 14. For you have need of endurance, so that after you have done the will of Elohim, you may receive the promise. Hebrews chapter 10, verse 36. Blessed is the man who endures temptation, for when he has been approved, he will receive the crown of life, which Yahuwah has promised to those who love him. That's James chapter 1, verse 12. And he who overcomes and keeps my work until the end, to him I will give power over the nations. That's Revelation chapter 2, verse 26. Last one. He who overcomes shall be clothed in white garments, and I will not blot out his name from the book of life, but I will confess his name before my Father and before his angels. Revelation chapter 3, verse 5. You see, these scriptures say it all. We must endure and overcome. We must stay faithful to the end. It is very important that we walk in this and live like we understand this. Yeah, the world is coming at us. We cannot ignore this and live as if we don't recognize the battle that we're in. No. We must stay ready and equipped and endure to the end. He who endures to the end will be saved. So whether it is the end of the age or the end of our lives, we must endure to the end and be faithful. It is important that you live like you know this in your heart. It is important that you represent this. This needs to be your focus and your mindset. The reason why the devil has pushed so much false doctrine like the pre-trib is because he has neutralized a great deal of believers, creating a mindset that does not promote the endurance that they need in order to finish this race. It is important that you remain faithful and endure to the end. And these are the actions that you need to do And this is what I was actually led to share with you rather than focusing on the news and the narratives and all the deceptions. I'm going to repeat it one more time. Number 1, be comforted because you have the victory, and remember, he who is in you is greater than he who is in the world. Number 2, be ready. Keep your lamps full of oil. Number 3, you need to have trust. Know the plans he has for us, plans to give us a future and a hope. Number 4, do not fear. Remember, Yah did not give us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Number 5, stay faithful and endure to the end. This is all what you must remember and what your action plan and mindset must be during these last days. I made this a PDF so that you can print this out or save it on your phone so you can always come back to it. I also may split this video up to make it that you can come back to each point if you need to. Either way, this is what is most important, and this is how you will make it through the times to come. So please commit your life to being one who actually lives a life that is actually a testament to the faith that they claim. These are wondrous days that we must claim and live in victory through. So at this very time and moment, make sure that your life is one that is blessed and strengthened. These are the days made for us to receive his promises. Live your life as one who's prepared and ready to receive them, and do not let your lamp run out of oil. Trust him, have faith in him, and have no fear, and endure to the end. Be blessed. Hallelujah. Praise Yah. Okay, thanks again for watching. If this has blessed you, please make sure to like this video and share it with others. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you subscribe to this channel. Yah willing, I upload every Friday. Please make sure to follow this ministry on Facebook and Instagram, as well as on my website, truthunedited.com. I again want to thank everyone who is sowing into this ministry. Thank you. I feel very humbled by this assignment Yah has given me. Your support is truly a blessing. I thank you for assisting me with carrying out and serving him every week. I'm truly grateful for you. You know who you are. Thank you again for your support and allowing Yah to work through you. May Yah bless you. Okay, thanks again everyone for watching. I love you all.